Howdy, I'm John, and I'm going to show you how and why I inverted my BeQuiet Dark Power PSU, and how the install of two 140mm basement fans went, or not. I built this rig into the BeQuiet Dark Base Pro900 revision 2, of which I posted a video I'll link to at the end of this video. This is designed to be a video editing and storage rig. I need lots of space to hold the videos I make, and currently it has space built in for 24 terabytes of drives. At the base of the unit is the power supply shroud. I've had it fitted with two fans before, and they were on the top. The one that was over the PSU was not a good idea, as it brought warm air from the PSU into the case. It's better that PSU air be vented directly out the back. I had it upside down always, and it would be sucking air in from the base through the filter and then out the back. Essentially its own closed loop. So to do this build, I took the top and front panels off as I'm switching fans around. You may not need to do this. To get the top off, I press the tabs along one side starting from the back. I repeat on the other side, wiggle it free of the base. Pretty soon I'm going to be adding two big drive storage units into the top that will displace one of these 140mm intake fans. So I can remove this fan now while I feel like it. There will be less to do on the day I add the unit to the top when it comes in. This big fan can go into a basement now to replace the 120mm there. I also want to reduce one exhaust fan so I have positive pressure inside the case. I want more fans pushing air in than air is being pushed out by fans. To remove the front panel, you must first remove the bottom filter. The front comes off much the same as the top. It's a well thought out design and concept. Good case. All builds are going to be different, but in general you want to remove anything that's going to be interfering with the removal or installation of the PSU shroud. For me, it's this BNC cable. It hangs the entire thing up for me. I'll have to be careful with my PCIe NVMe adapter, of which you can see the video that I'll link right above there. And I gotta be careful of those two hard drives, but they're gonna get removed today. To remove the PSU shroud, you have to remove the extensions on both ends first. Unscrew confidently and remove the shroud cover by pulling it up, being careful not to break anything. This is a lot like a car. The more stuff you add on, the more stuff you gotta work around. Part of my goals in the immediate future is to reduce the number of drive cables that I've got. This will help me maintain a clean case and make for a very tidy cable management. As I get my PSU shroud out, I have to disconnect my awesome lit up SSD card by Team Force. It actually runs as well as my Samsung's. Now we see the PSU, the various cables, the existing 120mm fan. This here cable hooks the case power to a PSU with two SATA connections. The third connects the SSD I just disconnected. BeQuiet carries cables for power supplies that you can purchase. I'm interested in this 3 SATA set. It's 1 foot to the first connector, and all 3 connectors are close. It might reduce the bulk of cable for this little run here. I don't need this length of cable for this spot. Also, I'm conflicted about these Velcro cable straps. They're convenient and they look cool, but I like the lower profile and reduced bulk of a zip tie if I know I'll not need to change the length anymore. Now here's the back of the case. I have a few cables to disconnect to remove the hard drives. When the hard drives are gone, I'll be able to remove that cable from the PSU compartment and out of the PSU itself. This is the value of a semi-modular power supply. You need only have the cables you actually need to have in place. You can see the cable that I was using for these two hard drives have 2 SATA connections, but they also have this Molex and floppy drive connection. To get them out of the way, I just had to wire them together and stick them out of sight, and I really don't like doing that. With the more compact arrangements I can get from BeQuiet, I'll have better airflow and more space in the cable runs. Now I am unplugging the various cables from the hard drives. With them gone, it will free up a lot of space for airflow and fans. This case is well built, very modular. Makes it easy to swap components from one spot to another to account for cable lengths or etc. I'll be installing a 3.5-inch hot swap bay from IcyDock at the top of the case soon. Subscribe and clang the bell to be notified when it comes out. This way I'll be able to keep a hard drive off-site and swap it out weekly with the other and always have a complete drive backed up in another spot. Now when I put all of these drive units together, I'll be able to power 4 SSDs and the 3.5-inch hot swap bay just from 2 SATA power connections off of one long cable. So this will reduce my connections on that run from 3 to 2. I'll be able to power both units with only one cable and 2 connectors. Note how strong and durable all of this metal is. This is a case that's likely to be in service long after the styling has gone out of fashion. Check out the rubber grommets that the screws go through on the bay and into a hard drive. This is to reduce vibration and movement. This case is all built about reducing vibration and annoying noises. The truth is, I got so used to solid state entirely that I want to be able to shut my hard drives off completely except when I want to backdate up to them, and only at that time. I expect I'll never really read from them. As long as my solid state drives and the SSD backups work, I should not need to. This is purely for quadruple redundancy. I'll stow these hard drives away, and soon they'll be swapped out weekly after being updated and then stored off-site. So look at the bulk of this cable. I need the special cables from BeQuiet to have only the connections I need so I don't have coils of cables piled up in this basement where I should have fans bringing fresh air in. Now I unplugged the drive cables and all the other cables from the power supply. Now that the platter drives are out, I'll be going from using 3 drive cables to 2, and both of these can be winnowed down in bulk by using the accessory cables from the manufacturer. And really, since a PSU like this might last 10 or 15 years, what's the big deal in spending a bit more now to make those dozens of teardowns easier and more pleasant? You can reduce clutter and confusion in the PSU compartment. Why not reduce the cables by half if half is not actually being used but is impeding airflow and piling up and they're cluttering the bottom? What? You don't just tear your computer down every month or two to clean it and marvel at it and change things around? Now I unscrew the 2 screws on the side of the PSU carriage tray. I unplug the power cord that is an extension from the case to a PSU, which is mounted deep inside the case to reduce airflow noise through a PSU grill. I unfasten the 4 thumb screws from the PSU tray and reverse the PSU, trying to take care of where the cables want to twist to. Now we hook the sled back onto the PSU, fasten the thumb screws, and slide it back in, like so. But I need to remove the basement from the PSU compartment so I can get to the bottom fan now. So we pull the PSU out to be safe and unscrew this shiny screw on the side of the case right about in the middle. There's another one on the other side. Then we can slide the entire assembly forward off the latches, freeing the basement in a most easy manner. Notice how the baffles on the base unit are designed to direct sound to the rearward area of the case away from the user. They also lend integrity and stability to the structure. This thing has a whole bunch of well-designed features. The tall feet lifting it high from the desktop or the floor can reduce the amount of dirt and dust the unit takes in. When the air comes in from the bottom, heavier debris tends to fall off before it even gets to a filter. I'd like to bring a lot more air in through the bottom. I'd like to have 240 millimeter fans down there. Since I'm removing an intake fan, I want to remove an exhaust fan also so that I have a lot more air being forced in than gets pushed out. This helps keep dust from entering the unfiltered portions of case, such as the back. Then when the fan is being removed, I must also carefully remove the fan cable, taking care to not snag it on other cables. I am going to have to reduce the front intake fans by 1 to fit the incoming drive units. So I'll swipe one now to place into a bottom if it fits. Alrighty, now I got 2 140 millimeter fans fit into a space behind where the PSU will sit. You can see where the 120 millimeter fan sucked up a lot of dust. This shows the spot at least brings in lots of air. The fans even look good from underneath. Let's push it back up and put the PSU into place. Ruh-roh, it's just too long. There are 2 screws that the tray bracket has to slide onto. The level space must be adequate to slide it onto them. Well, let's try the 120. And of course, in the moment as I didn't think to install the PSU and then try to attach the fan. So I swiped 120 from the front panel and put the 140 back into there and put the 120 into the basement. But the 120 is still taking too much room, so I removed it. Afterwards, I realized I might have considered latching the PSU into place and then attaching the fan. So what finally happened? Well, I wound up taking off the top thumb screws on the carriage sled itself and slid that thing in as tight as I could. You can see it went right up against the frame, and I had to swing the cable up around from the side and around the back, and I had to set it in with all of the cables out, and then I installed the fan, and then I put all the cables in, and you gotta make sure that you got them laid so that they're not gonna obstruct the fan. A couple of them were right up against the frame of the fan itself. But boy, I tell you, there's good airflow. And I even put RGB on one of the bottom ones because I want to be able to look in there and make sure the fans aren't blocking it up. So we got a 140 and a 120 in the basement. And I put a 120 on top of power supply shroud just to help move the air up and through. So yeah, it's a bit of a tight fit, but I think it's worthwhile. I thought I'd show it to you if you've got this case and you want to try this combination. It's going to give you some really awesome airflow and really good thermals. In fact, if you've got set up something like this, go ahead and subscribe and see all the other things I'll be doing here. Thank you much now. Have a good day. Bye.